All right, so rates have moved down. We've got FHA, VA, jumbo, conventional, first to move down, right? Then boom, coming into the year, we see non-QM sliding in. Those portfolio lenders are slow to move down. But look, everybody wants to know when those rates are really gonna have a dramatic move down. And to be honest with you, I think it's gonna come later than you want. So this is our first big move because why? We got a Fed that's obviously not as hawkish, more dovish, talking about rate cuts instead of rate hikes. But here's the $1 trillion question, because it is a $1 trillion question, because we need the Feds to cut rates. But here's what we need to understand about the Fed. The Fed is going to be slow to cut the rates, but they also can't be too slow, because even Mr. Jerome Powell said, if I wait too long, I could cause too much damage, cause a recession because I'm late to the game. So Jerome Powell would probably do a rate cut sooner than later, just initial one, because he needs a signal that, hey, we are well aware that inflation, the job market, consumer spending, things like that are on a downward trend. And guys, like I mentioned over and over, rates going down is not going to be like this. It's going to be a bumpy road, right? It just has to be. It's never just a straight down, straight up. It could be short term, but over the long term, it'll be a little bumpy road to get there. Plus, we got a lot of obstacles this year going on top of that. Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back. It's another week. It's another day. And yes, this is The Brief with your one and only Kenny Simpson. If it's your first time here, welcome. If you come back, that must mean you like me and you enjoy me. And I'm bringing you value, which I really try to do every week. But if you're new here and we've never met and you're seeing this and you're like, who is this guy, Kenny? Somebody told me to watch him. Somebody forwarded me this video, or I just met him or talked to him. Hey, welcome. This is The Brief, where I go over what's going on week over week. We talk about inventory rates, the economy, what's going on. Then I usually throw in some fun topics around the market, real estate, to help you guys understand week over week what's going on. Remember, we just don't need to make assumptions what's going to happen in 6 months or 8 months or a year. We just look at the data day over day, week over week, and by the data changing, we can change our analysis here of what's going to happen. As of right now, what do we know? We know that interest rates have come down from an 8, from 8 to let's say 6.5. We know that for buyers, it's more affordable at 6.5 than 8. We know that inventory is still tight. Right? We know this stuff. We know we cannot build our way out of this. We also know that the consumer is getting strangled. Not everybody, but the average person is. We know rents are higher, inflation's coming down. So this year is much, much different than last year. So with that being said, let's dive into the numbers again. Let's see what's going on, see if things are moving from last week. And also I got some fun topics to talk about this week. So without further ado, what do we always talk about first? Good old inventory. All right. Nationally, last week we're at 499,000 for that week on active on the market. This week, 505,223. That's what we got. 505,223. We're up a little bit. San Diego, 2649. Last week we were at 2475. So we're up a little bit. Listings up 39%. Woohoo! Remember that 39, you got to watch the numbers. Some people think 39. Oh my gosh. Well, we were 267 or 230 the last week, percentage higher. Look at the numbers. When you go from 100 to 400, that's a huge increase. That doesn't mean we went from 100 new listings to 10,000 new listings. So don't just look at the percentages when you look at data. Look at the actual numbers, how much something has grown, because a percentage could really be skewed and really misrepresent what's really going on, right? We've got a new inventory, new listings, 472. That's going up. Last week we're at 339 and 280 were sold. So what is going on with rates this week? As I mentioned earlier, rates are continuing to remain flat. The 10-year treasury somewhere around 3.9 and change. It's kind of going to the 3.9 to maybe a little bit of 4. It's hanging in there. As I mentioned before, we went up to 5. It was way too high. We went down to 3.79 or something, hit that, and we came back up. It was an oversell, an overbuy, however you want to call it. Rates went a little too high, then they went a little too low according to the market. So we're sticking around that 3.9, 4-ish, low on the 4 on the 10-year. So rates are still pretty flat. The rates that are starting to improve are non-QM because they always are lagging. They take a little bit longer when conventional and all that come down. The secondary market has to get their shit together, catch up, and then basically they're improving. That's why you're seeing non-QM rates. I talked about this last year. I talked about it with clients. If you watch me week over week, you'll kind of know what's going on. I can't predict everything. I just try to give you the facts and the data. And we're getting pretty good at nailing things thanks to other people I listen to and watch and help with their information, break it down to give it to you guys made and simple. So also those portfolio lenders of private banks, they're slowly coming down too. They're going to lower their rates. I think their rates should be lower, but also they have different things they got to deal with. They might have balance sheet issues. They got bad loans on their debt. They bought too many treasuries. They're worried about what the government's going to do, if they're going to require more reserves or this or that. So look, small banks, private banks, all that, they're definitely a little hawkish. I always know what's going on in that sector because Crystal, my wife, does commercial financing. And so she's talking to banks all day long. And when they're gun shy and lending, that's going to suffer. But guys, keep in mind, if we just look forward, I don't know if it's 12 months, 24 months, 18 months, 10 months, 8 months, it doesn't matter. If we look forward, if we close our eyes and we imagine, okay, when Crystal, my wife, says, oh my gosh, Kenny, all these banks want to lend, the rates are down, they're out there with the Uzi giving away money, I know that things are going to start moving again. So on the residential side, we got a lot of fluid stuff. We got the agencies, we got the Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, Ginnie Mae, they're lending. We got the secondary non-QM market, it's lending. We got some portfolio banks, we are lending. If you want a fix and flip loan, they're lending. So for the residential 1 to 4, it's really moving. On the commercial stuff, it's slower to move. The liquidity's not coming in. So look, it's very easy, guys, for people to sit on the sidelines, park their money in treasuries, make 4 or 5%. You don't have to do much. There's not much motivation. So as rates continue to come down, the money that they're making, 4%, 5%, 6%, whatever, sitting in the bank doing nothing, that starts coming down lower and lower. People are going to have to start doing something. Also, when liquidity comes back in the market, when you hear that, that means when banks want to start lending, when people want to start investing, when deals start making sense, right? When rates come down and things like that happen, you will start to see a tremendous pickup in the residential and the commercial market. And it's like, yeah, and then you put them together and it's like this, right? So my point is jokingly is that having some fun here joking that once you see that liquidity, once you see that stuff come back in the market, you will start to see a market really pick up. And then what happens when things start picking up, it changes what? This stuff between your ears, your brain, your psychology, your mental behavior. And people start going, oh my gosh, people are buying deals. It's getting active. I got to hurry. Oh my gosh, we should have bought a while ago. So I think a lot of people in the residential space that are buying now are going to look back and go, oh my gosh, I feel like a genius. Those that wait, it doesn't mean it's going to be terrible for you, but you cannot expect to get the same deal today with these rates, when rates are at 8 or 6.5, than if rates are at 5. You're not going to get the same deal. Why? Especially in places like San Diego. I can't say everywhere, but places that are restricted with supply, for sure here, we just can't build our way out. You're going to pay a higher price for that house unless we get massive inventory, which is going to be hard when people are locked in on, 42% of properties in the nation are free and clear. Then we got people have a 1s rates, 2s, 3s, 4s. 4% or less is 75% of people. So when you understand the data and the numbers that people don't want to move, it's not just about a rate or a payment, guys. They locked in on a low payment, a low house. They bought that house for a fraction of what it is now. The taxes, the insurance, the payment. It's going to make 0 sense for a lot of people to move. They're stuck. That's why it's the ice ages. So we have the normal market that we're used to of coming back and all this stuff. It might be off the table. We might be living in San Diego where 5,000-6,000 active houses for sale is normal in a spring summer market when it used to be 10 to 15,000. So, I don't know where your market is and everything. I'm not looking at every single market, but when you understand the data and you understand what's going on, if you buy now a single family primary residence, you're most likely going to get a better deal, especially at the let's say $1.5 million in down range and here in San Diego, because that's really fluid. That's the first time home buyers. That's the, maybe the move up buyers from first time to that. That's where people are looking, and so that market is really fluid. When you start getting into maybe over 10 million, this or that, it really depends on the house, the listing, the price. And a lot of people are paying cash or getting leverage at that point. It's a different story. And somebody's buying a house for 10 or more million. They're in a different mindset, a different frame. And that house could be not minimal with their net worth, or it could be a lot. So you just don't know. So we talk here, we're talking about, $1.5 million down, $2 million down in that, which is an active first-time home buyer, person that's buying their first deal, maybe their second house, whatever. That's that move market that's really moving. Logan at Housing Wire, buddy Logan of their Housing Wire was talking about price cuts are starting to slow down. That means because you're getting more buyers off the market. Remember, guys, in fall, so let's just take November, December, the buyers slow down, the renters slow down. Nobody wants to move. Nobody wants to deal with that crap during the holidays. They just don't think about it. Do you want to move during Thanksgiving or Christmas? No. You want to be with your family. You want to go on a trip. You want to enjoy your time. Some people do, but it's a lot less. People move in spring and summer. So as you come out, you're going to start seeing more buyers. Rates are lower. You're going to start seeing more listings. Yes, but a lot more buyers, right? And that will start those concessions, those sales price drops, whatever, those are going to start going away as we move in spring, summer, as long as that inventory stays low. And that creates more problem for buyers. So what's going on this week as far as economic data? It's a lot about housing. We've got builders confidence, housing starts, existing homes reports. So it'll be a big number to see where things are with rates coming down. See if we see a little bit more movement. Builders are still going to win in this environment because obviously they can buy down the rates. They have a lot less competition. So builders are going to win for the foreseeable time. And they're loving that people are locked into those low rates because they can just keep building and they can make more money on their margins, which is good because obviously when things go bad for builders, it's not good for any of us because if they go bankrupt, then they're less likely to build, and then we have more inventory problems, which happened going out of the Great Recession. And if you don't know that, and if you have that data, you should watch my Data Over Drama webinar. If you've never caught that and you're seeing this, email me, DM me, call me, text me, whatever. If you've not seen my Data Over Drama webinar, you should 100% see it. Guys, go check out my Data Over Drama. It's always good. It goes back what happened before and now. It's all about the data, and you'll be surprised if you didn't really know what happened in 2008. Go check it out. But before we start jumping into some fun stuff, as I mentioned before, the big debate's going to be when will the Feds cut and things like that. And like I told you guys, they are not going to cut. They're not going to be late to this party. They're not. So they're going to cut sooner than later because they need to. They're not going to wait for you do not wait for the news to get terrible before you cut. That's not how it works. They're not going to do that. So keep that in your forefront. And look, when they do cut, that will probably be a cut. We'll get a little rate dip in that process, a little bounce. But remember, we need to see some bad data. If you're even talking about a recession, we're going to have to see more data that's worse. This is, as you might have heard of, inflation's coming down, and we're kind of like at this point where it needs to come down further. But this last little bit, they said it's the hard part to get down. So let's see if it does get down, if it is hard, but it seems like it's stubbornly sitting where it's at. So we'll see how the next months go. We're staying flat. We're going to go down. That will really determine where the Fed's at if they need to cut. But the Fed's not going to keep going forever because they do have to get these rates back down because they have to refinance $17 trillion of debt over the next 3 years. Commercial has to, corporate, obviously getting housing more affordable. So they have a lot of work to do, but they need that inflation to come down. And the reason why that inflation really was up because they gave trillions and trillions. Did I mention trillions of dollars to all of yous? Yes, business owners, people of the United States. And you guys got locked up like a bunch of animals, and then they let you free. Like me too. And what did you do? You went out there and bought a bunch of shit and traveled and spent a bunch of money and had a good old time. And now we're feeling the hangover because that party is over and people are not spending like that. And that really caused inflation to go up. And on top of that, I'm sure there's supply chains that didn't help. And now we're trying to get stuff back to normal, whatever the hell normal is, because the Feds want inflation around 2. To them, that's normal. So we'll see if that happens. But what do we got for some fun, exciting stories this week to talk about? Some articles. All right, well, here's a fun one. U.S. Supreme Court to hear escrow case in February. So good old Housing Wire had this article that's basically saying, I'm guessing there's a class action lawsuit saying, hey, so if you guys don't know what an escrow account is, an impound account, that's if you make your mortgage payment and let's say your mortgage payment's $1,500. I'm just going to put round numbers. It's probably not going to be right. $1,200 goes to principal and interest, which pays your mortgage. $100 goes to your insurance, and the rest of the money, which would be $200, goes towards your taxes. Well, the insurance and taxes goes into an impound account or an escrow account, and it sits at the bank. And it sits there, and you add to it every month, and then they get an insurance bill from your insurance carrier. Boom, they pay it. They get an insurance bill from your taxes. Boom, they pay it. They pay insurance once a year, they pay taxes twice a year. So everybody's like, well, what are you doing with my money while it's sitting there? Well, you're a bank, you're probably using it, and you're lending it out, you're making interest. Why don't I get interest? So people are having a class action lawsuit saying the banks, just the banks, because banks can pay interest, everybody else, I'm not sure if these other third-party people that service loans are going to do that. So maybe the banks would have an advantage to service over others if they can get the interest. So this will be interesting how this works out. But there's a class action lawsuit saying if I have my money in your bank, right, and I don't care how much it is, why aren't you paying me a certain rate every month while it sits there? So that's why a lot of people that I talk to don't want escrow accounts. Like, it's my money, I want it in my bank, and I collect that interest and I pay them. Whatever you guys want to do what you want to do. We'll see what happens with this. We'll circle back around. But definitely interesting story and something that needs to be looked into because I totally get it. So there is a FICO score called 10T for non-conforming loans. So what is FICO? Fair Isaac Corp, the company that retains the rights to the market's adopted method to measure consumer credit risk, launched the updated credit score in 2020 for lenders to have greater precision by incorporating trended credit bureau data when making decisions. The company claims this model can expand mortgage approval rates by 5% relative to classic versions without adding incremental risk. It reduces default risk and losses by up to 17% and allows lenders to protect cash flow more accurately, FICO says. Government sponsors, Fannie and Freddie, have relied on the classic models for nearly 20 years. However, the Federal Housing FHFA announced in late 2022 that it would replace the classic FICO credit model with FICO 10 and Vantage Credit Score 4.0 competing model incorporating Trends Credit Bureau data. The original timeline was to move from tri-merge system to bi-merge system in the first quarter of 2024, but concerns expressed by stakeholders and members of the U.S. Congress delayed transition. Amid a discussion on changing the credit score modeling, Housing Wire reported in December that credit reports will be more expensive for mortgage lenders in 2024. Will charge one price higher than the current price to all mortgage lenders independent to their volumes, departing from the tier-based system in early 2023. It will also collect the same per score price or for saw pulls and hard pulls, an initiative that started in 2023 despite significant differences in these products. So basically, guys, in English, what they're trying to say is, I know I'm rambling here and depending on what was added in there. There's this original score, which a lot of people don't like because they feel like it doesn't tell the true story, and then they're going to change this other FICO 10 score and Vantage 4.0. And honestly, credit score, as you and I know, it can be manipulated. They finally did away with, if you have medical collections, all this. Credit is, they're just basically trying to make it easier for people to get loans. They're trying to make sure that the credit is really risking, and a lot of people do get penalized for, you could have an 800 credit score, somebody misses a $20 payment, your score goes down by 100 points, and you get crapped on. I don't think that's right. I think they should look credit over a long history. And if you really missed one or two things over a long history, it's fine. I get if something majorly changed your life at the current moment and you really aren't lend worthy, then you shouldn't get a loan. But over time, some people just make a little mistake. Somebody misses something, you get penalized. I think it's stupid. I'm not saying that's a system, but they're talking about changing the system where it's going to be better for everybody. But then they're saying it's going to be more expensive. Credit reports are going to start costing you more money. I don't know, but anyways, we'll see what happens with this, but it's definitely interesting because it will affect our, industry and things like that. Then a topic that needs to be talked about is another Housing Wire special. More financing option for ADUs are needed. Yes, we're here in California, and let me just be honest with you. If you can get a HELOC and you have equity in your home, cool. You can probably get a loan where you can build an ADU. But let's just assume you bought a home 2 years ago and you put 5% down, and I'm picking round numbers. It's worth $1 million, and now it's worth 1.1, and you owe $950, but you want to go build an ADU that's going to cost you $350, and then the end value would be worth this, but you can't get a loan. Exactly. Nobody wants to give you loan ADUs. Why? Because a lot of people don't understand them. They're not confident about them. They're not sure about the value. There's not enough comps, especially in the areas, and the list goes on. And basically what I don't understand is, hopefully this article is talking about it, but it's really going through a bunch of stuff. But I always tell people that when our government at a national, local, California, and even more local here, San Diego, they want ADUs. The people that are building these have to get crappy private money loans, or they have to pay for money out of their pocket or stuff like that. A fix and flip loan could do it, a private money loan, or use your equity or cash. It's very hard. So somebody that might want to convert a garage or something that just doesn't have an extra 50 or 100 grand and they can't get it, how are they supposed to get help with housing? So it's great that the government wants all these things done, but you got to help the people finance it. That's the problem. So I'm hoping between Fannie, Freddie, government, all this, they will start doing something. If you build an ADU, maybe they'll give you a second, or they'll let you refi out the loan or something, but they need to come up with something creative. So my point is, in this article, they're talking about there's all these different fundings and stuff. Look, guys, between us and our clients, they've done over 200 ADUs. People are like, oh, what can I get an FHA 2 or 3K? They give you $40,000. There's grant funding for $40,000. That's not enough. It's barely enough to do a garage. So realistically, the cost of a garage probably for somebody is about $100,000 unless you have insane connections or do it yourself. The cost to go build, an ADU around here is probably, I hear, anywhere from $250,000 to $500,000. That's not even close. So we need some funding. We need Fannie, Freddie, the government to step up. If you want housing, listen to us. If you want housing, you need to help the people finance it. That's all we need. So I don't know if somebody gets the plans, permits, and wants to build. Fannie's gonna have to do seconds, or somebody's gonna have to work with somebody to get something done. But $40,000 ain't gonna cut it, even $100,000. We're gonna be talking about hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars for people to build these ADUs, especially in places like San Diego, California, and other markets where they're doing this. We need more funding. That's what this article talks about. The good news is more and more ADUs are happening. More and more comps are happening. It's easy to get value, which makes lenders feel comfortable. It's just going to take a little bit more time, but eventually I think we will come around to have much better options for ADU and their financing. My friends, my family, that is it for this week. I just want to thank you for watching. Thanks for all the support. And we are well on our way to 2024. I hope you have a great week. If I can help, you have questions, concerns, comments, something you want me to talk about, please hit me up. But anyways, have a good week, and we'll keep watching the data, and you keep doing your thing. But look, I think we're going to get rates are going to be pretty flat for a while. But if you've got a deal, lock them in. If you need to refi and it's saving you that much money, do it and then do it again. If you can wait, But if it's really helping you out and saving you money, I wouldn't sit on it. Just do it. Because why sit here and suffer when you can just take advantage if you have a bad rate? Anyways, thanks so much, guys. Have a good week. I will talk to you then. Again, reach out if you have any questions.